Let's go to hardafseltzer.com. Get some 8% seltzer shipped right to your house. The peach, the lemon lime, the strawberry shortcake, and the blue raspberry. No carbs, no sugars, no gluten if you give a shit about that. We are live in over 100 stores in Tennessee. More just opened up. Go to hardafseltzer.com today and check your store locator or order them right to your house.
Welcome to Drinking Bros, presented by GhostBed.com.
What is up? Welcome back to Tomahawk'd. I am your host, Rob Fox, joined as always by Dan Holloway. We're here to talk some Braves baseball, and I wanted to thank you. I forgot to wear it today, but you gave me a very fancy hat that didn't fit your head.
Yeah, it was a little too big for my head, which I think speaks more about your head than mine.
I have a large head, a comically large.
Yeah, what about Delco? What's his head like?
I don't know.
Giorgio's head looks like it's pretty normal.
Giorgio gives good head.
Did you say I give good head?
I said you had a good head.
Oh, sorry.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the matching. I actually bought another one, but the matching hat for this new
City Connect.
City Connect. They're nice.
I like that they went with the 70s colors. I would be pretty down with that being the main jersey potentially if they took off the.
Yeah, this
for an everyday.
This has always been my favorite jersey. I think they started rolling this one out in the early 2000s. The
Chipper teams wore it a couple times.
Yeah, for Call. Enjoyed this jersey. I think he requested it a lot when he was
really
a player. Yeah, I mean this is a good look.
Yeah, I have the actual like pullover one from the Aaron days, whatever. Which I don't know why I said this on another show a couple of years ago what we did, but I feel like this iteration of the Braves looks better in it than the 90s 2000s Braves did. They were just so. I love those teams, but
boring.
Boring. Yes,
yeah.
I loved them, but
they didn't have any offense back then. I mean, it was bleak offensively. There was one year, 2003?
Yeah, where they were on. That was the last year. I didn't even think this going into 2021, but 2003 was the last year I was convinced the Braves were going to win the World Series.
Yeah,
and that obviously did not happen. 2021, I was like, we'll see.
We will see. I think we're looking pretty good so far this year.
We are. There is a bit of an issue though so far with the Braves. We'll dive right in. They don't have any players. All their players keep getting fucking hurt. Like, one thing we talked about going into this season that is huge for them, and it's something every team needs to be successful in the regular season, is depth.
Yep.
Not just depth, but like Mariana Trench fucking depth, right? Those are the teams that survive in the regular season. There's teams that aren't necessarily as talented even that will do better than a quote-unquote star-studded team because they have the depth to replace holes where you might have to put in then a replacement level player or something worse than that in the bullpen or in left field or whatever. I feel like the Rays do that a lot. You know what I mean? People always talk about how the Rays find these diamonds in the rough or reclamation projects or whatever. But to me, one thing that's always big with the Rays, not so much this year because they are actually star-studded. They probably have both this year. But a lot of times for me, it's just that they don't really have holes. You know what I mean? They're just deep, and they always they make sure that their player floor is relatively high.
Yeah.
The player ceiling might not necessarily be a lot of times, but they always have the depth to make sure that they don't have just some fucking black hole in their lineup or in their rotation or in their fucking or in their bullpen. And that's something the Braves had this year, and that's one thing that made me really excited for this year is that we could weather storms because of the amount of depth we had. We talked about how we have basically a second MLB rotation in the minors, more of a Pirates rotation, but still they have MLB quality arms in the minors. Obviously, great depth throughout the lineup, and the bullpen is hilariously deep. Pretty much all that's being put to the test immediately.
Yeah, and it's the Braves are 9-4, so you can't really complain about that considering our number one starters has half of a start. We have two guys. Kyle Wright's thrown 3 innings in one game. He gave up some hits and walks and stuff, but he didn't actually look that bad. It was that was more of a spring training game for him.
Yeah. I believe we won that game anyway, right?
Yeah. Spencer Strider. Nobody's worried about him, but yeah, we haven't had Wright really. Soroka's not quite back yet, although he's pitched 7 2/3 in AAA so far, 7 hits, 2 walks, and I expect him to be up. They're probably going to call him up. If I had to guess, probably right around the end of the month. I think they want him to get one more start and then throw him into the rotation. Bryce Elder's looked great.
Yes.
So there's no rush, but we've not had a closer all season. But the people who have been closing to that point about depth are AJ Minter and Nick Anderson and even Jesse Chavez one time.
And make no mistake, Minter is a closer quality reliever.
He is, yeah. He's clocking in at a 1 whip. 2 saves, no blown. I don't think we've actually blown a save this year so far.
No, not yet, no.
Nick Anderson's got a .53 whip. Jesse Chavez has a .47 whip. So the guys that we're throwing in there to handle this particular thing, both those guys have 4 and 2 holds respectively as well. So that speaks to the depth of the team, man. I mean, for the last week, we've been without one of the better center fielders in baseball and without one of the best hitting catchers in baseball as well. Yep. And we're still just kind of like cruising. So.
It's crazy. And the rotation's especially nuts, too, when you consider. So, okay, Elder's filled in nicely. Dodd and Schuster. Dodd had 1 great start, 1 bad start. Schuster, whatever. He 8 innings, and I think we won one of those 2 games he pitched. So fine. But, I mean, like, even when you say, like, Soroka might come up by the end of the month, like, I'm getting to the point where I don't know if we're going to have a choice. Because even the other arms in the fucking minors are starting to get hurt. I mean, Ian Anderson, TJ the other day, or just found out he's going to have TJ the other day. So
he got it yesterday.
He got it yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, he's done. Inoa, still out. Kobe Allard, who was a Braves prospect, and we got back from the Rangers or something like that, who's a good pitcher, still a good prospect.
Yeah, I watched him against the Braves last year, actually.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's good stuff. He just hasn't figured it out yet. But he's got a good arm.
He actually had a nice start for Atlanta. Was it in 2020?
It may have been. I don't know.
When we were just totally fucking out of dudes like we are now, kind of. But yeah, half our minor league rotations hurt. And then Colin McHugh and Marcell Iglesias both out in the major league. Matzik out as well, obviously. He didn't even start the year with us, but that's another arm.
He's out all year.
Yeah, that's another arm that's not there. And then Orlando Arcia goes down for who knows how long with a micro. What would explain the microfracture situation? I don't really understand it.
So I think it's in the metacarpal right here. It's not a boxer break, which is a hairline fracture across these two. The one that Jeff Bagwell used to get all the time from getting hit by pitches. But he got grazed on the outside of his hand right here, and there's microfractures in there. It's not a hairline. So a hairline fracture would be completely through the bone. A microfracture is essentially what shin splints are. So it's like little I'm trying to think of a way to, like if you tapped an egg, the little lines that pop up in there, it kind of looks like that. And they heal quite a bit quicker than a full fracture.
But they can be, shin splints at least, super negging.
Yeah. It's in his glove hand, right, but it is in his bottom hitting hand as well, and he generates quite a bit of torque. So I'm sure, look, there's no reason Vaughn Grissom, whatever reservations they have about his defense, he's still an above average. He's not a below 0 WAR player. He's above. Right. I think what was his WAR last year, like fucking 1.4 or some shit?
I'm sure it was
in 40 games maybe.
Yeah,
that was 0.9 in 40. So he's like, forget about all that shit.
And he was playing out of position last year as well.
Correct, yeah. But yeah, we're missing a lot of people. I'm not too concerned about it.
I mean, yeah, we'll get into that a little later, but it's just fucking insane that it's already happening. Part of me thinks, I guess the optimist in me is like, you know what? Okay, that's kind of okay because now, we will make the playoffs just because I say that confidently because of the expanded playoffs. I'm not going to say we're going to win the division, though I think we are. But kind of nice to have your guys going into October not having played a full season. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, especially after the 2020 fucking weird year and then multiple deep runs in the playoffs.
Right.
Obviously, you want to, if you can get some time off for dudes, that's not the worst thing ever.
Yeah, and obviously you want them missing. If you're going to miss time, April, May,
Yeah.
right, even June. You don't want them missing September, then being hurt until mid-September, then trying to figure it out 2 weeks before the playoffs. So you don't typically want that. One thing, though, that has kept this team afloat, aside from the fact that their bullpen is elite and just insanely deep, this lineup fucks.
Yeah.
This lineup
even without with a week or more now of not having two of the best hitters in the league, Harris and d'Arnaud in the lineup, it's still fucking just doing whatever it wants to do. Aside from Ozuna, but we'll get to that later. But they've not had any issues putting runs up.
No, they've been incredible. And look, I mean, you get a little bit of a break facing the Reds, but I mean, they beat the shit out of the Cardinals, who are their pitching is their weakness, but they're not a bad team, and they absolutely destroyed the Cardinals. Bad series against the Padres. We'll talk about all that. But the lineup, I looked at the numbers. I wanted to see how they rank against everybody else, and it's pretty interesting. Obviously, you can take the raw stat numbers with a grain of salt because it's early in the year, but they are already third in the league in on-base percentage at like 350 something, which is great for a team to average. Sixth in slugging at 434, sixth in batting average at 271. But more important than all of that is that God is on the Braves side because they're second in baseball with a 339 batting average on balls in play.
Yeah. I wonder, hold on, let me check Fangraphs. Fangraphs has exit velo and shit, right?
Yeah.
I wonder what the team exit velo is because you have to balance that out, in my opinion, between like Babbitt can be misleading. It can make a guy look like he's getting lucky, but he's just scorching the ball all the time.
100%.
So especially this year without the shift, I think that probably plays some role in it. I don't know where to look for.
Well, I'll try to find it real quick. They were also like just one of the. I want to say they were one of the teams typically hurt the most by the shift.
Matt Olson was the worst hurt by the shift for sure. So I'm sure that weights it a little bit. Philly's actually first in BABIP.
Yeah,
in the league.
They're having a nice little. I can't imagine they weren't also hurt by it, just because. All right, here we go. I got exit velocity for teams. Atlanta ranks fourth.
So yeah, I'm not too concerned about BABIP regressing if they're hitting the ball hard.
Yeah,
especially when they still are running Ozuna out there. I think he's played in like 11 of 13 games.
Yeah,
I don't know why he shouldn't be on the field at all, but. Yeah, you have to look at the crosstabs in those stats to make sure you're getting real data out of that.
For sure. And they rank sixth in barrel percentage as well. The Braves do in the league. And I mean, they're mostly the teams ahead of them are, no surprise on exit velocity. The teams ahead of them are the Dodgers, fine. Yankees, fine. Cardinals, certainly fine. And then the Braves. And then right behind them are the Giants and Rays. And the Giants have been mashing this year.
I kind of would have expected Philly to be up there with. I guess he got off to a little bit of a slow start, but what's his nuts?
What, Schwarber?
Yeah, Schwarber. He hit two goddamn missiles last night. 106 and 107 exit velo on those.
Yeah.
So he's getting kind of locked in. What's that kid's name? Hang on, I gotta look. I don't want to say his name wrong. Bryson Stott is off to a pretty good year. He's at 400 right now.
Yeah.
Not hitting home runs, but who gives a shit?
It is with the BABIP, though. I think it is interesting, like you said. Like, yeah, they are hitting the ball hard, but I don't even think that that's all of it. Like, I am just noticing that they're getting hits that used to be hits before everyone started shifting like fucking crazy.
Well, that's what I don't know if you watched that Tampa Bay game yesterday or the highlights from it.
Yeah.
They were down 3-1 in the fifth, and all of a sudden, like you could say that was just an unlucky inning for the other team, but they were intentionally going out of the zone to hit the ball the other way through what is kind of a shift. especially on
teams are still moving defenders
Right.
further than they did, prior to the shift revolution.
Yeah. But then, like, especially the one before it got broken open, Randy Rosarino, there was runners on second, third. I think it was 3-2, if I'm not mistaken. And there was a ball 8-10 inches outside, and he just flicked it through the hole between second and first. That's just a fucking RBI machine right there. Like, you can say that's weak contact, but that's situational hitting, and that oftentimes is the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah, 100%.
And they do it. Nobody does it better than Tampa Bay. Kevin Cash is the best manager in baseball.
I agree
and
with
it's not
that.
even fucking close.
Yeah.
Like, that front office is great. You can. I don't think you can. Maybe they in Atlanta are 1A, 1B because they're working with very different situations and payroll.
100%. Well, and they do different things really well as well.
But as far as coaching on the field, I don't know anybody that's better than Cash. He's the best.
Yeah, he's exactly who you want. And they're not going to make a mistake hiring a manager. I mean, they're the ones that kind of made Joe Madden, who then kind of fell. I mean, the Angels are just where talent goes to die.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Madden was even good in Chicago, if that tells you anything.
Right. Won a World Series in Chicago with the fucking Cubs, and then you go to the Angels, and it's just all over.
The two best players in baseball, you still can't win.
Yeah. It's like so cursed that like Albert Pujols hated him. He cut Albert Pujols, and then Pujols breaks 700 with the Cardinals. It's just wild. But yeah, I'm really seeing the Braves just getting hits that used to be hits, and I'm happy to see that. And that is another thing that's interesting about the exit velocity stuff. And we talked about this with Grissom. So Grissom was called up today, and one of the big knocks on him was always, or has been, exit velo.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know what it was during the season last year. I guess we could look on Fangraphs with that too. But I think in spring training it was 86 or something like that.
I think it wasn't good last year either. It was in the mid 80s,
Excuse me.
Which is not where RC is like 92 or something,
Yeah.
or 90 or something like that.
Yeah, but he also swings his ass off and he strikes out more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to take all that stuff into account, I think.
But I think what's interesting is that one reason people started to like exit velocity a lot and barrel rate a lot. And look, these are still important for getting doubles and stuff like that, and obviously home runs. But you have to think they're going to matter less because one of the ways you beat the shift was barrel rate and exit velocity, right? If you're still going to pull the ball, or you're still going to hit the ball to your strong side or whatever, you need to be hitting it harder because you've got smaller gaps to get it through, or you've got to make the ball more difficult to field. That's not the case anymore. Like it's more the holes are wider. I mean, because they just can't put everybody on one side. So you would think there would be a bit less of an emphasis on exit velo.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, some of it is just situational hitting. Like if a team is if they're playing double play depth, for example, on a lefty who they would normally move the second baseman farther towards first base and move the shortstop close to behind the second base back, and you can you see a ball out over the plate and you can guide it through the middle of the fucking field right there. Good for you, dude. I mean, that's a hit. It's a hit, and it looks like a line drive in the box score.
Right.
Fucking that's good situational hitting. It's what everybody's been pining for dudes to go the other way. But you can do that. You do that on the waist pitch or on like a Rosarina did last night. They were trying to strike him out. That was a pitch that was 8 inches outside the zone. It was a show-me pitch. They were probably going to come high and in with a fastball after that. But he was like, why even wait? I can punch this through this giant hole in the fucking infield right now. And I think, I mean, professional hitters like the Braves have guys that they put up tough at bats. There's even Rosario's still waiting for some of the rate numbers to come through this year for some of the counting stats. But he's having good at bats.
Yes.
He's walking more, seeing more pitches than I've seen him. Even before he was with the Braves, when he was having big seasons, he's still seeing the ball better now than he was. So I think he's going to come around pretty quickly. He had a fucking moonshot the other day as well.
Won the game, I believe. I'm trying to find. I can't find it on Fangraphs right now, but I would love to just see. So they have barrel rate, right? We just talked about that. I would love to just see contact rate, right? Because again, like Randy's hit the other day, Rosarina's hit the other day. I mean, he didn't really barrel it, right? It's not going to be great exit velo.
I mean, you can. Well, we can't play the clip, but you can go look at the clip of him on Twitter or wherever the fuck, just on the Rays site because they posted it. Yeah, he just kind of flicked the bat at a ball that was 8-10 inches outside.
Right.
That's yeah. You got to think that ex velo is going to start to be less of an issue.
And you're going to want guys who, again, can because like with the shifts and everything, people wanted forget contact, right? You had to make violent.
Yeah.
Very good contact with the ball. They weren't really interested in flicking the ball the other way or whatever. If that's a skill you had on top of everything else, great. That means you're one of the top 10 players in the league instead of just what we need you to be. But now, I mean, there should be, you would think, more of an emphasis on situational hitting, on fucking just getting the ball.
Especially with all the base runners moving around like they're moving around. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, when's the last time you saw a baseball manager consistently use the hit and run? I think that's coming back pretty soon.
You would have to, you would think.
I mean, it would make a lot of sense for a guy like Rosario with runners ahead of him. That runner is probably going to be Michael Harris because he hits 2 or 3 slots ahead of him typically on the base paths. You get him moving with with no outs or 1 out, and hit a ground ball in the infield, and maybe you got a guy at third base now after exchanging 1 out for it because he's so goddamn fast. So, yeah, I think the hit and run's probably going to make a comeback soon. It'll be interesting to see which managers bring it back. Kevin Cash probably will, just because he plays small ball like that. Although Tampa Bay's hit 32 home runs this year so far, and they've given up 30 total runs.
Jesus Christ.
So that'll win you 13 in a row.
Yeah. That'll play pretty fucking easily. Is there anyone else you think who we might see? Just pretend there's not going to be any other injuries for the rest of the month. Anyone else you think we might see plugging any gaps for the Braves in the meantime? Who's the other shortstop? Shoemaker or whatever?
Braden Shoemake.
Shoemake, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, if I'm AA right now, I'm trying to package him in some kind of deal, maybe with Schuster or Dodd or somebody like that, to get a left fielder, to get a full-time left fielder.
So then what? Eddie becomes part-time DH, part-time left fielder, just part of a rotation with.
Because they don't have any outstanding outfielders coming up through the system right now, and this is a win-now team.
Yeah.
And Rosario is not good against left-handed pitchers, which is, still the minority. So he would still get a lot of at-bats. But I think they need somebody out there. They need a good defender who can fucking hit out there. And there's no reason for them not to make a move like that. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's his nuts from the Pirates or something like that.
I got a name for you who might be on the move, who my brother hit me up about, just in terms of would be an interesting trade. Tyler O'Neill.
What's he, 29?
Something like that. I mean, he plays Gold Glove defense. Obviously has power. I mean, just look at those arms. It actually kind of.
Can he play left, or has he always played center?
He's center.
Well, we're not going to move Harris out of center. There's no way that Tyler O'Neill's better at center field than Michael Harris.
No, but that would make him the best left fielder in baseball tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll see how the season goes for St. Louis.
Yeah. But they have an abundance of outfielders. They got that new guy who hit a home run against us, the giant black dude whose name I'm fucking blanking on.
Oh, the 21-year-old?
Yeah, who's fucking he looks like a power forward.
Walker?
Yeah. I mean,
that kid's he's going to be a fucking good baseball. He reminds me a lot of a right-handed Jason Hayward, so hopefully he doesn't have.
Yeah.
He's got much better bat speed, though. He doesn't have that weird fucking janky swing.
He's kind of an inverse to Jason Hayward, where Jason Hayward was great in the minors doing this, but Hayward ended up being a defense-first guy, and Walker is bat first. So I think Walker is actually a little awkward in the outfield still. So they're kind of working on his defense.
But he's a fucking crazy athlete. I mean, he should probably be playing tight end somewhere, to be honest.
Yeah, that man's a monster.
O'Neill's on a 1-year deal right now, $4.9 million 1-year deal, and he's an unrestricted free agent next year. So you could definitely lure him away from the Cardinals.
I think so. I mean,
by the way, they're
pitching.
last place in their division right now, which is we're 2 weeks in, but
right. And they need pitching, so that sucks that what's his nuts? Ian Anderson just blew out his elbow.
Well, we've got plenty.
Yeah.
Schuster and Dodd can go. They're not going to be good Major League Baseball pitchers, I don't think.
Allard we could send again.
Maybe Dodd. Even a Noah, I think we can stand to lose at this point.
I think they want pitching for this year, though. So it might be someone, if they're hurt, less hurt than that.
Don't be surprised if we get 2 months into the season and they're still at a 38-40% winning percentage. They don't fucking let O'Neill go, especially I don't think he's too thrilled with management at this point either.
No, that's the other thing, too. He's kind of the odd man out in terms of personality, whatever you want to call it. Him and Marmol are not good friends right now. And again, they have I'm trying to think the other side. They have Walker. They've got a great dude in center field.
They got Dylan Carson. They've got that dude from the Netherlands, I think.
Nootbaar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
They've got a lot of
him.
outfield depth.
But yeah, they can definitely afford to lose O'Neill. That would be interesting.
I mean, defense alone would make that worth the trade. And then obviously he didn't hit a lot of home runs last year, but I mean he is he does have a power stroke. I think did he miss time last year because he only hit fucking 14 home runs. He only played 96 games, so that's a 20 home run season if you stretch it out over 20-25 home runs. Take that in a heartbeat. But yeah, so that'd be interesting. That would be who I would want to go after if we were going to add to left field. Obviously, like in terms of like realistic, obviously I would take Aaron Judge or something. But it is what it is. Next up, want to talk about this in a broader sense. So we always talk about how Braves start slow, whatever. And this team had every reason to start slow again. Mm-hmm. Not even just because of their own, like, oh, well, we'll get better later. Just like whether or not they wanted to start slow, they might have been starting slow. We're 9-4?
Yeah.
We've gone 7-3 in our last 10 games, and that includes the brutal series against the Padres because we bookended that with sweeps against the Cardinals and the Reds. And, I mean, so that's 7-3. You'll take 7-3 across literally any 10 games in the season.
Yeah.
You'll never not take 7-3 over 10 games.
I mean, they should have won Game 2 against the Padres as well. But
yes.
What are you going to do? But, yeah, they're we're going in. Are we in Kansas City? Or?
Yeah, it's in Kansas City.
Yeah, that shouldn't be that big of a deal. Although Kansas City is playing better than I would expect right now. But yeah, it's one thing Bobby used to say is just win series.
Yep.
At the end of the year, you're going to win 90-plus games if you just go out and win series.
Yep.
So
we have, again, in this series, like, obviously you can't be like, we have to sweep this series unless it's literally like the last or second to last series of the season and you are absolutely fucked unless you sweep it. But this feels like something we would be very, very. It would be good to have a sweep in this series. We absolutely need to win this series, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It would be good to have a sweep in this series because the two series after this are pretty brutal. We go to San Diego, so from a quick Midwest trip out to the West Coast, which always we don't do well on. I don't expect to win that San Diego series. That would be a bonus if we do. I'll just take one game out of that. And then we come back and we catch the Astros at home. So to me, I would really like to take absolutely the maximum amount of games we could take from the Royals in this weekend series. I'm going to be looking. They're not going to play this way. You know what I mean? These guys are professionals. They're just gonna go about their business and try to win games. They're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna be too worried about one series over the other. But for me, just with the math and everything, I could see a stumble over the 6 games after this. So this feels like a must-win series early in the season for me, just to stay on pace.
Yeah, I mean, this is good. It's a good opportunity for Elder and Wright to sharpen up a little bit more. Morton's going tonight. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of team that fucks him up sometimes, just like contact teams.
Yeah.
And people that'll wait. I mean, don't be surprised if Morton gives up 5 walks plus tonight, to be honest. This is the kind of game that he struggles in. But Elder, over his career so far, last 2 years against teams that haven't seen him yet, which is most teams,
right,
is pretty good when he doesn't walk people. So and then it's
Right.
right after that. Although it's Wright versus Greinke. Greinke, you never know with that guy. He may come out and fucking throw a shutout. But
Yeah, I mean, it's still to this day, I will always say that the Astros lost that game Greinke started because they pulled him too early.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, if we were not hitting Greinke that day at all. And why even bother pulling him when he was 2 for 2 at the plate? He had 2 hits. So what's he costing you?
I don't know.
Like, they were just afraid that, like, third time.
Who was their manager then?
Dusty.
He was still Dusty?
Yeah. And they were afraid, I guess, maybe like third time through the lineup, but we looked lost.
That's the book on Dusty, though. He's made so Bobby Cox left people in too long, and Dusty outthinks himself on a regular basis.
Yeah.
He finally got one. Luckily, not luckily, but they were the better team. But I'm glad that he finally got one. But yeah, that's kind of the book on him. But yeah, we've got. I mean, and even after that. We have Miami at home, then at New York and at Miami. Those are tough series.
Yeah.
As much as New York and Miami have struggled to start the season, those are still good teams.
Good teams.
And we have trouble at Miami. Just like, I don't know, everybody has trouble at Miami. The fucking Patriots have trouble in Miami for some reason.
It's a tough end of the month. This is the last series in this month that I feel confident that we can win. We could win all the series,
Sure, yeah.
or we could win none of the series for the rest of the month. You know what I mean? It's just gonna be a rough stretch. So for me, I want to stay like this is a stay on pace series. This is stay out ahead series, right? Like you win 2, you win all 3 of these games, you're feeling good. You're 12-4. You can afford to go 500 over the rest of the month. So this to me is like a big linchpin series for the month. And again, it's not going to sink anything. It's not going to, but this is a really exciting series to me because they need all these games.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we need to win as much as possible early in the season because the Phillies are going to have at some point in June or July, probably more likely July, Bryce Harper's coming back, and that's going to be electric.
Yep.
That team is going to fucking lose it for at least a month or two. They're just going to lose their minds. We can't be 5 or 6 games up at that point. We need to be fucking 10 games up by then.
Yeah.
On the Phillies. The Mets and Marlins will deal with them, but the Phillies are going to come out fucking swinging.
Yeah, at some point, I agree. They're going to get really, really hot. And again, like I don't. It's hard to sleep on the Phillies, or it's really like weirdly easy to sleep on the Phillies because it's for most people because the Mets are quote unquote so good or whatever. But like, what are the Phillies like? The Phillies are scarier to me. I mean, they have a better top of the rotation than the Mets, in my opinion, just because their dudes aren't fucking 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
And then that lineup is literally better than the Mets, quite a bit scarier than the Mets lineup. So
I'm not scared of the Mets in any way.
Yeah, I'm really not either.
The Phillies, though, that's a good baseball team.
They'll jump up. I mean, they did it to us in the division series last year. Yeah. They will jump up and fuck you in the ass.
I mean, they're going to have when Harper comes back, they're going to go fucking Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Real Muto, Castellanos.
That's obscene.
And even like Alec Boehm and fucking Bryson Stott have had really good starts to the year. That's a team right there. The fucking Mets are a joke, in my opinion. I mean, I know we hate the Mets and shit, but 1 through 5 they're good, and everything after that is fucking dog shit.
And even 1 through 5, it's good, but they're not like they have to string runs together. Outside of Alonso, they don't really have a lot of power, right? Like they have to rely on getting 2, 3, 4 hits. The Phillies can get, they can get 1 hit. 2 hits, they're good. You're tied. They're winning. Whatever. Same with the Braves. The Braves can do that too. But yeah, The Mets are far more manageable to me than the Phillies are. So again, that is why I've been so excited about this 9-4 start, sweeping the Reds, and sweeping the Reds in a tough series. By the way, all 1-run games. I think we had to come back in 2 of them.
Yeah.
Had to come back in 1 of them like multiple times. So, like, this is exciting. This is good. I'm glad these guys are staying out in front of things. They're not digging themselves a hole. Look, and again, it's April, whatever, but you don't want to dig yourself a hole ever. Last year was, like, kind of a miracle.
Yeah.
I mean,
the last 2 years, to be honest, but for different reasons. But, yeah, it was last year was kind of rough.
You can't rely on that.
No.
You can't rely on Alex Anthopoulos making 4 perfect trades, right? You can't rely on the Mets weren't even playing at a bad pace last year, right? Like they won 100 games.
Yeah, I think they went. I think they were playing like 600 ball.
Yeah,
and we just fucking lapped them because we were so good. But yeah,
you can't rely on beating a team playing 600 ball.
No.
So yeah, that's why you need these wins. That's why I'm going to be really locked into this Kansas City series. I think it's going to be more exciting. If you're a Braves fan, you're kind of like, oh, whatever, playing the Royals. I think this is an exciting series because these are wins that we should be able to grab. So I'm excited about that. One thing I'm not excited about, actually, before we get to this, another thing I'm excited about is gambling on baseball.
Yeah.
You've been talking to a buddy who's a good baseball gambler. You yourself are a big baseball gambler, and we do all of that at mybookie.com. Use the promo code DrinkinBros to double your first deposit up to $1,000 at mybookie.com, where you can bet pretty much anything you want. Right now, it's baseball season. Dan, tell them why betting baseball is actually dope and not something you should sleep on.
Well, it's because there's unlike football season. So football, you can make good money because the odds are good, but as Delco likes to say, it's professional football, so the spreads aren't very good. Like your Vegas gets that right most of the time, so you can parlay some teams together, but you're limited in option. There's 15 games a weekend, at the most. There's 15 games a day in baseball, right? So if you're good at picking, one of the things that Spader does, our buddy Ryan Spader, is ranks all the games based on in 4 tiers. Ones he's pretty sure about, ones that he's confident about, pretty sure about, so on and so forth. And even if you limit it to 4 or 5 games a day, you're getting odds like plus 4,000. Where you can just throw down $10 and make $400. You know what I mean? Off of 4 games, they're like, oh, these guys are pitching. Yeah, they're going to win that game.
Yeah.
And it's gambling. You win some, you lose some, but you can make a lot of money gambling on baseball because the returns can be a little bit lower and you got to take more risk with parlays, but it's every single day. You know what I mean? So if you're into fantasy baseball, there's no reason you shouldn't be throwing down $10 a day on random bets on MyBookie. Parlay 4 or 5 or 15 teams together.
Yeah.
And to see what happens. Because when you parlay all the games, which is what Ryan does every single day, I think the odds are plus 1 million or plus 100,000.
So yeah,
like
something
that.
ridiculous like
so
that.
you bet $100 and you get $100,000, right? Not that, but even $10, you're getting 10 grand off of that fucking bet. You know what I mean? $10 is nothing.
Right.
So
you can afford to bleed $10 a day.
Yeah, that's why I bet baseball. And if you're rocking it good enough to have, I think his winning percentage last year was 62% on the individual bets, not on the parlays, obviously. But if you're cruising at 62%, chances are you're going to win 1 or 2 parlays a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just a grind. And it
like
keeps,
baseball itself, it's if you fail 7 out of 10 times, you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And if you enjoy fantasy baseball or even just watching baseball and following everything, you'll enjoy this style of gambling. I highly recommend it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Keeps you involved in everything.
So check that shit out at mybookie.com. Use the promo code Drinking Bros. It's super fun. Anyway, back to that transition I interrupted for myself. One thing that's not super fun, watching Marcell Ozuna play baseball or live also.
Yeah. He's the only guy that I can recall other than you mentioned David Justice in the 95 World Series because he was talking shit and pissed off some fans for one game or something.
Yeah.
But, Ozuna is the first guy I've ever seen get booed by home fans in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's not really their style.
No, not at all. You never see that. It's not the Mets, the Yankees, the Phillies, like whatever. It's not, and it's not because we're so polite or something like that. Or I'm not trying to like Southern hospitality.
It's just not part of it for that.
Yeah, it's just not something they
reason,
do. Yeah. They're kind of agnostic to it. But I mean, the fans are fucking done with Ozuna. And honestly, his stats are dog shit, but I'm not even going to bother to read them because I don't care. Like, he's not even passing the fucking eye test for me anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to hear his stats.
Sure, let's hear this abortion.
His strikeout rate is 31.7%. And his BABIP.
He must be hitting a lot of home runs, right?
Nope.
Oh.
His isolated power is 167, and his batting average on balls in play is .048. So you can't be worse than that.
No.
Unless you've never made contact in your entire life. You can't be worse than that. His WRC plus right now is 20.
That's so far below replacement.
That's a fifth.
You could send one of us up there to put up those numbers.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately, it's so fucking bad. He's got 2 homers, whatever. I don't care. Like, that's all. Again, like, he doesn't even pass the eye test. I watch his at-bats. He looks, every at-bat, he either looks fucking lost or disinterested.
Yeah. And it's, if you dig down into the crosstabs of some of this stuff, his exit velo is not bad when he makes contact. It's 89.5. I mean, that's way less than you would expect for a fucking power hitter, frankly. Yeah. But it's not like below league average. I think league average is like 88 or something like that. Yeah. But his ground ball percentage right now is 61%. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? If you're a home run hitter that doesn't hit home runs, you're not a thing.
Doesn't even elevate. And, I mean, again, it looks like I never know what he's up there looking for. Like,
no, I think he just fucking swings.
Yeah.
And hopes for the best. I don't know if it's like he's only 32, but he's only 32, but sometimes vision starts to blur or your bat speed goes down and you have to start your swing earlier than you used to and stuff like that, and that definitely affects you. But man, this guy's fucking toast.
I mean,
get him out of there.
It does look like it seems like he was, in his 20s, a fucking freak. Right, and he relied mostly on his freak abilities to mash the ball. And even, by the way, when he was really quote-unquote good, really good, like, he wasn't like a top 10 player or anything that. So he had like above average talent. He essentially had above average output, probably with far more than above average talent, and never felt the need to get that output even up to his talent level. Because it was like a J.R. Smith situation or a Kyler Murray situation or something like that, you know what I mean? Where he was like, I'm really good. I don't really have to work that hard, so I'm not fucking gonna. But now the problem is 32 is young, 32 for a human, right? But for a Major League Baseball player where, fractions of a second and fucking millimeters are what matters, like, if you lose anything, you're not that guy anymore.
Well, you gotta make up for it somehow. But like as you said, he appears to not have taken the time to build those fundamentals. You know what I mean? Like, everybody does it when it's the approach. It's why, honestly, I think players like Austin Riley who get involved in the approach early on, as he did, like, he could have kept doing his thing and he probably would have hit 30 home runs a year, but he would have struck out 190 times and blah, blah, blah. Probably would have had an average of 90 RBIs instead of 105, right? Which is, 15 RBIs over the course of the season. That could be a big deal. Guys like that tend to have longer careers because they figured out. Chipper was like that too.
Yep.
Through the injuries and through aging and stuff like that, he changed his approach and blah, blah, blah. You just don't see that from Ozuna, and it's been 2 years now because he sucked last year too.
Yeah.
Everybody's been kind of waiting for him to get his shit together.
It's never going to happen. And look, and by the way, if you want, there are 2 things in baseball to me that are more or less pure effort. First and foremost is base running. He's a fucking moron on the base paths.
Just generally speaking, he's a moron.
Yes, his legal record would say that as well. And then secondly, like, look, there is a certain amount of physical talent, required to be elite at defense, but you can be a good defender or a passable defender just through effort alone, right? Knowing where to be, running hard to the ball, just being aware of the situation.
Yeah.
And he's so bad that they don't even think he should be on the field. He can only DH. They won't put him in left field. Like, that speaks fucking volumes.
Yeah,
like,
it's not like you don't want to platoon your DH.
No.
Like, you want your DH to be one of the better hitters on your team. Certainly consistent in the lineup, but yeah, I just don't know. I don't know where it goes from here. And look, maybe he's just having a rough start, but as you mentioned before, doesn't pass the eye test. And we've been talking about this since the beginning of last year. Whenever he came back, it's like, this dude looks lost always at the plate. Then he hits a home run. You're like, he's not bad.
Yeah.
Like, well, that was a belt-high fastball, right? And he was just swinging his ass off. He's not taking pitchers deep into counts and then fucking situationally driving in a run or hitting a bomb like that. It's like on a fucking 1001 count is where he hits his home runs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with this guy. You got to think AA is got to have some plan for this, I would imagine, but it's a matter of offloading that contract too. Frankly, if they just cut him and ate it, I wouldn't care.
I wouldn't either. Fuck it. I mean, and they have enough outfield depth at this point to deal with it between Rosario, or outfield, just depth in general, Rosario, Hilliard, the two catchers, Murphy and d'Arnaud, and isn't there one more outfielder? Hilliard's Pilar, Kevin Pilar.
Oh, yeah.
You don't really want Kevin Pilar DHing.
I don't want him in the lineup until the 7th inning in the 7th game of the World Series to close that shit out, to
Pretty
be honest.
much, yeah. Hilliard's been a nice little week, though.
Surprisingly, yeah, he's not bad.
But yeah, man, I mean, this Ozuna shit, it's got to end. Like, it's over. And yeah, I mean, he was never a high effort guy. I'm not going to bank on a 32-year-old to grow up. And another thing, by the way, at this point, I want them to get him the fuck away from Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah, he's that guy's cancer. I like Albies and Acuna together. That's nice.
Yes.
I think Albies is the linchpin of that team, to be honest.
At this point.
He's like his behavior, generally speaking, seems like a goofy 16-year-old, but his clubhouse presence is like a fucking 50-year-old dude. He's like the old head in that clubhouse somehow. I don't know how the fuck that happened. It's a very strange
he's
like
the
bipolar situation going on there.
He's the only like leader of that team that's also has a big personality. Riley's kind of a quiet guy.
Wilson's quiet, yeah.
Fried is quiet. It's really just Albies and Snit. I don't know, like who else? And then you've got young guys who I think are going to grow into good leaders. Like I think Strider could potentially be a good clubhouse leader guy because he certainly has no problem speaking up or whatever.
Yeah, Harris too. I think.
Yes,
at some point,
100%. But right now it's really kind of just Albies on the player side. And look, I'm sure guys like Fried and Olsen, who maybe aren't like the loudest personalities, they'll speak up when they need to, and they have, I would hope, some gravitas in the clubhouse. But yeah, in terms of like the everyday kind of, I don't know who it would be like in the military, like this is Albies like this sergeant major.
Yeah, maybe, or a first sergeant at the company level, or a platoon sergeant. Yeah. He does seem to kind of be the guy that pulls focus back when everybody gets wild.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Fair enough. Last but not least, fun story about an ex-Brave. Did you see any of this on Twitter?
I follow Evan Gattis, but I didn't see any of this stuff.
Evan Gattis had some fun tweets. I think he might have been a little drunk or something.
Maybe.
He just took to Twitter and started spilling all the beans on the Astros pitch stealing, at least from what he was doing. And it's fucking incredible. Let's see. Someone asked him, Shoeless Dro Jackson asked to put down the scotch for a minute. The trash cans, Evan. How many bangs of the trash can did you hear in 2017 postseason? Evan Gattis said depended on the pitch. He then also said, let's see, what else did he say? He said he knew what was coming from CC Sabathia.
Yeah. One guy asked him about playing left field. And he was like, I can guarantee I was terrified and probably on a performance-enhancing drug both times. I don't know if that affects his Hall of Fame candidacy.
Right.
Not that he has one, but that's pretty bold.
Yeah. He also said that they knew what was coming from Yu Darvish, and they still got shut out just because he was fucking dealing. Like they were getting the signals on every Darvish pitch.
And he still shut him out?
Yeah. He's still absolutely
That's pretty good.
Right? That's fucking incredible. I'm on this Barstool story. They also, for some reason, he tells some chick she has great tits in the middle of this. Don't know what that was about.
Well,
but
did she?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. He also thinks that some pitchers knew they were cheating and created new signs or like kept things as close to the vest as possible. And then, basically the next day said, he also said that he believes the Dodgers were cheating as well and stealing signs. My guess is they weren't using cameras though.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, but that's not cheating, is it?
No.
It's not cheating if you're stealing. Stealing signs is not cheating. Using electronics to steal signs and communicate with each other is stealing.
Yes. That is
cheating, rather.
Yes, that is cheating. Having someone on second base or having someone very observant in the dugout, seeing like what a pitcher looks like when he throws a curveball versus whatever, that's not cheating. That is
No, it's baseball, man.
yeah, fucking A. Putting a camera up there and spying on different story. He signed off with, and it turns out I say stupid stuff from time to time. Night, smiley face. So yeah, he just got drunk and spilled a bunch of beans on the entire Astros cheating situation.
I like that. He did comment on the buzzers. People keep asking about the buzzers, and he said if they were doing it, they were smart enough not to tell me.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a weird line in the sand to draw after you just admitted to cheating.
Well, maybe the smart enough to not tell him part was they knew he was dumb.
Oh, he was going to say it?
Yeah. That seems... You know who I've never, I don't think, really heard from on this that I would be incredibly fascinated to hear from is... I love this guy, but Mr. Unwritten Rules, Brian McCann.
Yeah, he seems like a man of integrity. I'm surprised he's not spoken out about this, although I don't think he ever will.
At this point, right? Like this is the guy that got up in what's his nuts face with Carlos Gomez, right, for pimping a home run or saying some shit.
Yeah.
They recently took a picture together, by the way, saying they had buried the hatchet.
Is Gomez done? Is he out of baseball?
Oh
now?
yeah. I didn't realize, by the way, McCann was on the Team USA staff.
Oh yeah, he's who's the head coach? It's Mark DeRosa now, right? So it's all Braves over there.
Yeah, true. But yeah, McCann has never said a word about this. Now, Gattis, for those who don't know, he's kind of lived a bit of a YOLO life.
Yeah, he's it wasn't full Josh Hamilton, but it was pretty close, right?
Yeah, but he had like an anxiety breakdown after starting college ball at A&M, I think, and then just quit and just kind of started getting fucked up and being a janitor.
Then he went back to like a JUCO or some shit like that.
He did go. Not only he went to a JUCO that my buddy, former TFM writer Kyle Banduho, pitched for. This guy, he does a podcast for Baseball Prospectus now, but he played JUCO ball with Evan Gattis, and he was like, Evan murdered baseballs in JUCO.
Oh, I can only imagine. There's no way I would fucking get anywhere near that dude with a fucking aluminum bat.
Right.
Fuck that shit.
It's like he told a story about one time the wind was blowing in like just as hard as it could possibly blow in. Like no one had any hope of hitting the ball like to the warning track, and Gattis hit it like 30 feet over in game, like reached up like chest high fastball and just put it well over the fence. I mean, that guy, he hit the longest home run I've ever seen. I think it was in Philly, 100 miles an hour at like the chest like / neck. I forget who was pitching. It might have been Lee. It was somebody who threw fucking gas, and he absolutely drilled him. And then, have you ever seen the highlight of Gattis hitting that Marlins fan in the dick in Miami?
With a home run?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, my God. I'll show you it after the game. Please YouTube this if you've not seen it. Evan Gattis hit a home run on the Braves, and it went to, left field, and it went to over where that club is now. It used to be where the pool is. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
And this guy was walking down the stairs with like a beer or whatever. This baseball hit him in the dick, and it hit him in the dick with such impact that he flew backwards and his shoe fell off.
Just one of those days, huh?
Pretty much. It's one of the best baseball highlights I've ever seen. That guy's a fucking animal.
Yeah, he's a man. He's a man for sure.
But yeah, this fucking cracked me up reading this. Of course Evan Gattis would do this. Like,
oh, yeah.
He doesn't care.
No, he does not give a shit.
Yeah, I love it. I love him. I'd love to have him on the show sometime, actually. He'd probably give some good-ass stories about those Astros and even those Braves days.
He doesn't seem to have a problem saying stuff, so
no,
definitely a good guest to have.
Not in the least, yeah. Good dude. I always loved him on the Braves. Was sad that we couldn't. We were good with him for a season, I think.
Yeah.
13. He came up. He was LO.
I mean, these days, if he was just coming back into baseball right now, he would definitely be an everyday DH.
Oh, yeah.
He just wasn't particularly great in the field. He was not a very good catcher, and he definitely was not a good left fielder.
No, good Lord, no. I remember us putting him in left field some days just to have his bat.
Yeah.
Which
it's just like you're hoping for the best.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good fucking luck. But yeah, that has all I've got for today. I'm excited for this Royals series tonight. Starting tonight with Morton. I love watching Bryce Elder pitch now that I think he's going to stay in the rotation.
I agree. I think it's going to be Fried, Strider, Morton, Wright, Elder. Maybe we'll see if Wright doesn't turn it around. I mean, it's hard to it's weird to think about a 21 game winner who might get squeezed out of the rotation. You know what I mean? But it might, frankly, probably more likely that they go to more of a 6-man rotation and use Morton every other time. Since he's older, you don't want to fucking wear his arm out before the playoffs.
No, and also at this point, he's a flex.
Yeah, he's definitely a flex.
He can go in the bullpen, too. I mean, we're talking about the 2017 Astros. He pitched, the last 4 innings of that deciding game 6, 7? They went 7, didn't it?
I think it was 6.
Okay. Either way, he can come out of the bullpen. So, it did go 7.
Oh,
He pitched the last, 4 innings of that or whatever. And I think he only threw curveballs.
Maybe. I mean, when it's unhittable. So it's a hit or miss. Pardon the pun with that dude. But yeah, that'd be my guess, is that Morton goes to a flex position at some point. Although I thought that would happen last year. Those young guys just didn't fucking pan out the way I thought they would.
No.
But Elder specifically looks good this year.
Yeah. And Elder's, he's the type of guy we talk about off air a lot. His thing is more he's been there the whole time. He was a really tough college pitcher. You know what I mean? Really good at that. It was just a matter of getting his stuff up to major league snuff, essentially. Yeah. And it appears to be there. Hopefully.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see the third time through the order so far this year. He's doing pretty well. Batters are hitting .222 against him the third time through the order this year, which is in stark contrast to last year.
Yeah. I'll fucking take it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is all I've got. Let's go Braves.